Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our October 15th, 2019 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the latest Supergirl episode, Titans, we're going to talk about Henry Cavill and his moustache, and so much more. We're also going to be turning to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works, let me introduce you to my co-host, the Prince of Podcasts, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, one day I'm going to be the king.
The king.
That's my goal, at least. Anyways, since WGBS Live is all about Superman, we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us live on YouTube. So around the halfway mark, and if we don't have too much on the docket, which lately it seems like we have a lot to talk about, we'll try to start taking your calls. To do this, you'll need Skype. Just log on to Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to be on the show. Now, two things. One, message us, because calling us sometimes screws everything up. And if you do get on and you have external speakers and you're not listening through headphones like Steve and I do, please turn down that speaker, because we are on a delay and it causes all kinds of audio issues.
Yes, and talking about audio issues, Amethyst saying she can't hear us, but everybody else is able to, so it might just be something to do on her computer system. But we are working, picture, sound, it's all happening, so full steam ahead. You've been on vacation, or a staycation?
Yeah, well, staycation. Yeah, I haven't had one of these in years. I've actually been, it's funny, I used to regularly inventory my books. Like when I got new comics, I'd put them in I have an Excel spreadsheet that I have my comics in, and I started doing the Superman ones, and then I realized that I haven't put new Superman books in since 2016. And in some cases, back to the New 52. So it's been kind of fun going through these old books that are now don't seem old, but when it's 6 years ago, that's old. Wow.
Yeah, that's a while. I do a similar kind of thing for the website, indexing everything that we do, and putting a little bit of a blurb for each one, and so it's, if you don't keep on top of it regularly, it can become a chore when you've got to try to play catch up.
Yeah, it's just I am basically Newton, one of Newton's laws, and when I'm doing it, I keep doing it. When I stop, I just don't do it. So, but yeah, this is what vacations are for, right? Going through your comics.
Yep, indeed, that's 100%. And to those watching live via YouTube, I would say hello to Amethyst, Mark, Mikal, Mike, Justin, John. And I think that's pretty much it. Everybody, and Legit, Tuber, all tuning in live via YouTube at the moment. We welcome you, and letting you know that you can comment, as people already are, through our YouTube channel. Michael and I will react to your comments as the show goes on, and any other questions you might have. And I should say a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. We appreciate your support. And if you want to be a sponsor of the website and or this show, head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. Well, we've got some topics to discuss. I mentioned the moustache. Henry Cavill is back in the news. An image of him, a better image of him with the moustache as Superman, appeared on Reddit this week. And I've got a comparison of the image at the top there without any computer graphics alterations, and supposedly, although I don't remember it looking that bad, at the bottom there when they removed the facial hair and moustache. I've got to say, having gotten used to seeing Henry with the facial hair and the moustache and everything, I kind of don't mind it as Superman. They could have included it into the story, with the whole, as he did in the comic books, coming back with a beard and everything. It could have easily been. Probably would have been easier to add facial hair to whatever they'd filmed beforehand than to remove it. Then in post-production.
Yeah, I just get the feeling like they did the sloppiest job possible on purpose. The more, I mean, I'm not one of these release the Snyder Cut people by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact of the matter is that they put out a substandard product. When you look at some of those special effects, I mean, I'm tired of boring CGI villains anyways, and it might as well have put like Liam Neeson in that outfit and kind of like made him look bigger. For how Steppenwolf looked, he was a boring looking villain. The parademons were kind of, I don't think they were that exciting too, but it's this mustache that just, it looks terrible. It just, the more you see it, like, the pictures with him with the mustache, I kind of agree with you. Why don't you just let your facial hair grow a little bit? And the only thing that puts a kibosh on is the end of the film and the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would have been that big of a deal if those were like the two shots of him, right? Because according to behind the scenes stuff, the end shirt rip was a Zack Snyder shot.
Yeah.
And so that's not screwed up, and frankly, that's kind of the best he looks in the entire film. And the Flash race, you could have still had him with the facial hair, because he hasn't quite gotten, this happens before the end shot. So I like that these things are popping up, but it just keeps reminding us of the fact, and maybe that's the point of people posting these, that this was a terrible decision on the part of Warner Brothers.
Yeah, John's asking, where do they keep finding these photos? Well, obviously there are a lot of stills out there from the film before the CGI hair removal was done, so I imagine there's footage out there of the whole thing. It's just not something they're going to release. How they get released, who puts them online, I don't know. I imagine there are guys out there who worked on the film who took a snapshot and, put it on a USB drive, took it out with them. Who knows what they did? Took a snapshot with their phone off the TV, off the computer screen. There's always these leaks. These things come out. You're right. Yeah, the beginning of the film, the end of the film, wouldn't have been possible, especially the beginning of the film, which is where the problem was most obvious. People talk about these, this deep fake technology, where they're able to put other people's faces on actors. I saw one of Jim Carrey as from was it The Shining, or one of those films where they've put Jim Carrey's face over. I'm skipping on the Jack Nicholson's face head. And they look really good. So the technologies are available to do these kinds of things. I don't know what Warner Brothers used to do this for the Justice League, but it was obviously the worst possible technology available at the time. I've seen so much better done by fans just on their computer screens. So yes, it was a problem. Yes, it's been well documented. It's just interesting to see these photos emerging of Henry Cavill with the moustache during Justice League, just for the sake of seeing it.
Yeah, and I don't want to leave out the Mission Impossible people too, not letting him shave for the reshoots. It's I don't know if it would have been that much of a problem. Did they have it perfect? Like they stepped away.
Every
from the
hair was right.
Yeah, I mean, it was petty all around. Just in general, and maybe that's why Warner Brothers was so sloppy with it. Plus, I don't know how much time they had to edit those sce's. I mean,
sure.
you just gotta feel bad for the guy that's just like, okay,
that's my job.
Here's another job. Another 20 hours of erasing Henry's mustache.
All right, so let's move on. Let's touch on the TV side of things, where a new episode of Supergirl aired on Sunday night there in the US, last night here in Australia. And it was titled Stranger Beside Me. Your review is up on the site now. You gave it a 3 out of 5, saying that at first you thought the episode was kind of boring, but you realised upon further reflection that it wasn't boring, but the pacing of the overall story was very slow, which made it feel like it was dragging. I can't disagree with you. I thought, having just watched the episode like an hour ago before coming on live with the show, it did seem to drag on. They did seem to pad out a few scenes here and there. The Lena stuff, I just was a little bit lost, especially when what's her name, that new Catco boss came downstairs, and was like, what's her first name, Andrea
Rojas,
yes. Yeah, she came downstairs to Lena's tech office, studio, whatever you want to call it, somehow, and caught her out tampering with her contact lens technology. That seemed all. This Andrea woman just seems to be able to do everything.
Yeah, I was like, how the heck did she get into Lena's private lab? Because I'm guessing that's her private lab, and the whole thing with the Obsidian North stuff and her buying Catco and Lena doing what it's like it's not baked yet. Like there's all these ideas there, but they didn't leave them in the oven long enough before putting them out on the table. Because why is she? This woman's a multimedia woman with a tech company, but she bought Catco, but she didn't buy Lena's company. So it's not like she bought Luthor Corp or whatever she calls it now.
Yeah.
L Corp. Sorry.
Exactly.
So why is she even there? That seems like something. That seems like a scene you have, like in her office, like her office, and legal is there. Like she brings her lawyers with her. The whole point of having her there was for Eve to prove that she wouldn't say anything, but you could have had that with somebody else coming in. So I think, again, this is one of those things where they're trying to accomplish a lot in a small amount of time. So they wanted to have the scene with Lena. They wanted to have the scene with Eve proving her loyalty, which doesn't really go well for Eve once she does that. And they matched that together, and it just, I agree with you, it felt kind of weird. Like are we like, from now on, are we just going to be okay that Lena overwrote somebody's brain and now she wants to do that for everybody on the planet? This is straight up Smallville Lex season 5, season 6 stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Where, it's I wrote this in my review. It's possible to come back from this because they did that with Lionel. Lionel was a bad guy, and like I joked, and at the end of season 3, he tried to kill Chloe, and in season 6, he's having Thanksgiving dinner with her because I always invite the people who try to murder me over to the Thanksgiving dinner. It's a time of healing, but I just, I understand that they're setting her up to be not setting her up to be a villain, right? She's not out to take over the world. She's not out to, cause an earthquake in California, and Supergirl has to stop her. She's doing something that she feels is the right thing to do. But this is taking her down like a really dark path.
It is. And it was a very relationship-heavy episode with the comparisons between Alex and I keep forgetting James's sister's name. And then you've got what's happening with Brainy and Nia. That was... look, I understand... Look, Alex's relationship was obviously a pivotal part because the Green Martian, Johns' brother, was, taking her form, and so does she know her well enough to identify her when she's not really herself, or not? So that was kind of pivotal to the episode. But the Brainy Nia stuff was just like a little bit kind of childish, cheesy, the rest of the episode's fairly dark, so let's have this really kind of fun element where Brainy's going over the top and nearly ruining his relationship because he's trying to do too much to win Nia over and be the perfect kind of boyfriend. It was just like, this is kind of dragging this season down a little bit for me.
And I get that they're trying to show that he's bad with relationships. Like, this is his first real relationship. but he also knows that humans can only eat a certain amount.
Well, she said he's the dumbest smart person she ever knew.
Yeah, I just but that's like dumb on another level.
Yeah,
that's there's overdo like him reading the poetry at the end of the episode. That made perfect sense because that's him taking one thing she said and going overboard with it. I mean, I appreciate that they're fleshing out this relationship, and it's funny. I always watch these things with my wife Rachel, and about halfway through the episode, she goes, "That blueberry pancake thing's going to come back," and she was absolutely right. Yep. It's Chekhov's pancakes, I guess. You don't put pancakes on the stage unless you're going to use it at some point. So it was like my overall point of the review though was all the problems I had with it. I don't want to overly focus on or say, oh, this season's going so bad, because we were at the same point last season where it was just like, God, this is dragging, and when are they going to do this and when are they going to do that? And 3/4 of the way of the season, it's like, oh. So I'm hoping that that's the case here.
Now, can I ask you a question about Green Martians? Are they able to take the form of something that is so much smaller than themselves as far as matter is concerned? I can understand maybe a little kid, but a fly on the wall?
That was pushing it, because so in the DC universe, the comics, at least at one point, they had, especially with like Changeling, who's now, Beast Boy. I still think of him as Changeling. When he would change form, like there's this other dimension that they pull or send stuff to. It was like really woolly comic book science. But yeah, I don't see like being a little girl, I think, is even pushing it, because I think he would want to be something like around his own size. But that's transforming. Not only you're not even a humanoid at that point. I get it that Martians can fly, but that's growing wings and the eyes, and it's just like that was a really weird way to get to where they needed to get to on that.
Yeah, well, they wanted him to be a fly on the wall, and they literally did it. So, I mean, that was kind of taking things quite literally. But, yeah, it's an interesting angle. I'm kind of hanging to see where that whole Martian storyline goes, and it's good that they've got John Jones actually doing something and part of the episode, not just in his own story, but connecting it with the whole Obsidian tech as well, and what Kelly, I remembered her name this time, is doing it as far as her role in the show. Yeah,
the thing with Kelly is I thought I wasn't going to like her end of it, but it seems pretty organic. The William Day is the weird one. Like, they have the whole creepy ending with the most depressing version of girls just want to have fun I have ever heard in my entire life. I realized that, like, back when Donnie Darko came out and they did that really slow version of Mad World, like, now that's the thing that you do when you want to have, like, your song on different levels. But it's just like, we're going to show Kara going to work, and we're going to show Lena doing her thing, and we're going to show William Day volunteering at a homeless shelter. Oh, what a, like, are we trying to point to the fact that he's this really good guy and he acts like a jerk?
Yeah, that was a bizarre kind of way to push his character. I wasn't sure what was going on there, because Kara glances over at his desk at Catco and he's gone, and so she's like, oh, where's he gone? And then he's actually, at a homeless
really
shelter.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's going to be where the next episode goes, because Blurred Lines, actually, there's a thing in the 4th episode, but let's have a look at the promo for Blurred Lines, which is the 3rd episode of Season 5 of Supergirl. Here is the promo trailer for that particular episode.
We have a murder to solve.
Is that a tattoo inside his heart?
She's uniquely dangerous and very hard to stop.
Supergirl, all new episode next Sunday at 9/8 Central, only on the CW.
So it looks like Spider-Man versus Superman, Supergirl versus Spider-Woman. So we've got this person who can shoot webs and puts tattoos of spiders on people's hearts. I don't know what to make of it.
Well, let me ask you one thing before we really move on. Does it seem like Jimmy being Guardian is such a throwaway thing this season?
Yeah. He appears, he helps out, nobody cares anymore that he's got a secret identity. He's going to go into politics maybe, or is he going to go and be a curator at the museum? Like, he's got so many two choices.
Well, the last time a super character got into politics in season 5 of a show, it doesn't really go well for them. So that's the season Jonathan ran for Senate.
Yeah, that's true.
And he died. So
don't do it, Jimmy. Go to become a curator.
Go to the Smithsonian. You'll have a much better time.
So Blurred Lines is the episode that's airing Sunday, October 20th there in the US on the CW. Kara attempts to mend her relationship with Lena, while Jean takes a deep dive into his memories, while Kelly tries to help an old friend. So we don't know who that is and what happens there, but nothing mentioning about the spider person, but I guess that was to be expected because they're kind of keeping it under wraps, I guess.
Yeah, and maybe because it's close to Halloween, you want to have something kind of spooky and scary. Maybe. I don't know. That's stretching it. Yeah.
I mentioned episode 4 of season 5 of Supergirl. It's titled In Plain Sight, and now we do have a description where it says, Kara's investigation into William Day's criminal activities results in the shocking revelation he's not who she thinks. Well, we know that now. Meanwhile, the conflict between Malefic and John Jones reaches a boiling point. Is that how you pronounce his brother's name?
Malefic? Something like that.
Yeah, so, William Day's, I guess we'll have to wait, not next episode, but the episode after to find out exactly who he really is.
Amethyst brought up a good point in the chat that Rojas Andrea might be part of Leviathan. And so the whole technology thing of taking over, maybe it's a way to control people. So I haven't seen that because I kind of stay out of the, we talk about it here, and that really kind of scratches that itch for me. But I like that idea. I like the idea that maybe she's part of the whole thing because Eve was supposedly part of it, but man, Eve got taken out of that pretty quick. So yeah.
Yeah, well, Eve is now no longer... Well, once again, she's kind of become a toy for one of the Luthors who are, doing something with her mind. And this time, that AI has taken over her brain or filtering into the brain to make the loyalty aspect, the non-lying aspect of her more formidable and more upfront.
Yeah, if that's the case, if she is the ultimate villain or part of the ultimate villain of the season, then yeah, this is all worth it. This all makes sense, and it'll all pay off later. But wow, now that Amethyst points it out, it seems a little obvious. So now I'm kind of hoping that she's not, because that would be we know it now after the second episode. So, it's not like when Lex shows up and it's just like, oh my god, Eve Tessmacher has been a bad guy this entire time.
So I wonder if the the actress who's been voicing the role of Hope, that AI character of Lena's, will now do the voice or of Miss Tessmacher, or that'd probably be too hard and unnecessary.
It seemed like, bravo to the actress whose name escapes me, even though I just typed it today, for kind of taking on the mannerisms of the CGI character, but at least the vocal mannerisms right there at the end. So it's just, this is going to be a weird season, I have a feeling. Just after, especially with Crisis going on and everything, I think it's just going to be kind of strange.
I actually wrote in my column for the Big Blue Report, our free twice monthly Superman homepage newsletter, about the topic that you and I were discussing on the show last week about Supergirl, the show. Is it being hypocritical for running on the angle of technology taking over people's lives, and we're spending too much time on technology when the show, as you well pointed out, is always talking about live tweeting and streaming the show, via their app. So it's an interesting one, and I haven't received too many replies or comments in response to that, but we got a little bit of a taste of that in this new episode, where that woman just walks across the street and nearly gets run over and causes an accident because she's too involved in her phone.
I was just like, you guys could be a little more subtle with it, right? I mean, that is an obvious danger, and it's why here in the States, we, like right now, especially states all over the United States, like Georgia 2 years ago, enacted safe driving laws that you can't have any mobile devices in your hand at all.
Yep.
The only way you can use so they're taking care of stuff like that. So that just seems like and it's not like the woman was wearing the lenses.
No, she was just looking at a phone.
Yeah, and that's just like, oh man, people need it feels like the things you play during the ads of like, don't this is how you properly cook, and the old Superman radio show where it's just like, don't be a dirty scumbag when you go out, and meet other people. So
yeah, well, admittedly, this was the woman walking, not the woman driving. So the woman driving was doing the right thing. She wasn't on a phone, but and it is a problem. I've heard of plenty of people, especially in the city, where they're surrounded by other people. They're just walking, you're kind of going with the flow, and you're looking at your phone, and all of a sudden everybody else has stopped, and you've just kept going, and it's like, whoops. Or people walking into poles, like telegraph poles, or signs, and just like bang, because they're not looking where they're going. But
or walking into your gym and pulling up the app so you can sign in, and you almost walk into 3 people. Not that I didn't do that yesterday.
See, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's move on. I haven't watched Titans Season 2 yet, but there was a promo for this recent episode titled Connor. We spoke about it last week, but the promo hadn't been released yet. So let's just take a quick look at the promo that involves Connor Kent and Crypto from Titans Episode 6 of Season 2.
People are not what they say they're going to do. They are what they do.
So there you have it. Crypto using his heat vision.
Yeah, I found out some things about the episode itself, in terms of Crypto having a kill count now.
Oh.
So it seems though that with some of the things that I've seen, it really feels like they're not trying to darken this character up, which is what I was kind of afraid of.
Yeah.
It's very much right out of Jeff Johns' run on Teen Titans, which makes sense. He's one of the producers. So, but the idea of, who are you? You're made up of the alpha and the omega of good and evil, essentially. So I'm looking forward to watching the episode. And again, I keep saying this, the costume looks great, but man, how hard is it to screw up a t-shirt and jeans? I mean, it's not the most complicated costume out there, really. Which
is probably good for the costuming department. They didn't have to come up with another, outfit.
Yeah. Well, I wanted them to go full 90s though. I wanted the leather jacket and the spandex outfit and the buckles. That would have been amazing, actually.
All right, well, we're just at the halfway point of tonight's show, so we're going to take a quick break and then come back on the flip side to talk about Krypton and its Blu-ray DVD release. We'll be back right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Balmer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
And dangerous. First, never touch any appliance without a parent's supervision, and always be careful with kitchen appliances. Keep their cords out of your way and your fingers out of their way. Also, always turn pot handles in, away from the edge of the stove.
So nobody bumps into them and gets hurt.
Now you're cooking.
And we're back on WGBS TV Live, and that message was played for Michael, who mentioned that the Supergirl episode felt like a one of those warning messages.
I was literally like 2 seconds away of like walking away from the computer and then coming back and going, "Thank you for playing that. I realized I had left a pot on in the kitchen." But getting into where I am right now is a complicated affair, so it wasn't worth the gag.
All right, so as I mentioned before the break, Warner Brothers Home Video or Home Entertainment announced that Krypton Season 2 and the complete second and final season of Krypton is available, will be available for release on Blu-ray and DVD as of January 14th, 2020. This will contain all 10 of the Season 2 episodes, plus 2 bonus featurettes, including The Fate of Superman and Villains Modes of Persuasion. They'll also be releasing Krypton, the complete series, which includes both first and second seasons, and that will be available on Blu-ray and DVD probably about the same time in January next year. So, just in case anybody was in any doubt whether or not somebody was going to pick it up for another season or not, they put the complete second and final season on the cover.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to lead with that. I guess I'll be waiting to get the 2 box sets instead of just the one. I've seen the first season on DVD. It's weird. I really don't feel like buying things on DVD anymore unless I absolutely have to. There are some shows that's all they do, like some streaming shows only offer it on DVD for some bizarre reason. But I guess at some point I'll have to. But I like the digital with it as well, because that makes actually watching the episodes a little more convenient for me. Gives me something to do on the treadmill.
Very good. So, this will be... There's no pre-order date links available yet. Amazon don't have it listed as yet, but I imagine that will be probably in December, or probably a little bit earlier than that, which is the order due date that is listed on the press release. But January 14th, 2020 is when it will hit shelves. So Krypton, the second and final season, out on Blu-ray and DVD early next year. Now, before we move away from the TV side of things, Wizard World announced that they've got some Smallville offerings for fans of the TV series. They've got Platinum VIP packages for Wizard World Columbus, Wizard World Madison, and Wizard World Austin. And they also have 2 very special events, including Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum over the Wizard World weekend with the announcement of a Smallville cocktail party and a Smallville Nights event. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's going all out. That's different than just a meet and greet. That seems like a party, like a cocktail party. That's fancy.
Yeah, well, the cocktail party on Friday night says, don't miss your opportunity to mix and mingle with Smallville's Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum at this private cocktail party event. While on the Saturday night, Smallville Nights is an intimate evening with Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum, where fans will not only enjoy talking, hearing stories and asking questions from the two actors, but they will also have the rare opportunity to watch and potentially participate with the two as they play out scenes from old Smallville scripts. Each fan will also leave with a unique gift from Michael and Tom. That's cool.
That is cool. I actually, just kind of getting in the mood for Crisis, I took out season 2 and started watching it, and I forgot how good they were in scenes together.
Well, imagine having, like, if you're a female fan and you get to play Lana in a scene with those guys. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, they just seem to be having fun with it now. But I guess you kind of have to do stuff like this now with these conventions, where you just kind of up the stakes, essentially, because it's, you have the panels, which is one thing, then you have the photographs, which are usually very expensive. But those are literally like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. You're in, you take the picture, you're out. There is no talking or anything. So these, I'm sure they're extremely expensive for the cocktail party and an intimate evening. It's just like, okay, that's maybe you need to work on the phrasing of that, because that might be promising things to fans that just aren't going to happen.
Well, unless it's, like I said, a kissing scene as Lana or something like that. You never know. But
let's get the apple box so she can stand on it.
Now, speaking of Smallville, tomorrow is the October 16th, depending on where you are, is the day, like the anniversary of when Smallville first debuted back in 2001. So October 16th, 2001, the show premiered. Which makes it, what's that, 18 years?
18 years old, yeah. Wow. It is now legally able to vote in this country. It's amazing to think that it was that long ago. Watching the episodes as I have, the plots and the performances themselves have aged very well. The music has not. At all. It feels so early 2000s. It's not even funny.
Yeah, so Mark was asking when and where is that. So I just read out it was Austin. I've just closed off the page now. Let me quickly find it for you. I'll grab it up in a sec, Mark, and I'll get you the exact locations. Wizard World conventions, there was Austin, Madison, and one other one.
Austin, Madison, what else?
And Columbus.
There was Columbus, that's right.
Yeah.
I was like, it's...
So if you're interested, go to our website. You'll find the link for Wizard World, or you can go straight to their website, and that you'll find all the exact dates and everything on that website for all the details for further information about the Smallville nights at Wizard World. Now, let's change tack. Let's get to the comic book side of things. This past week, there was quite a few books out. Supergirl number 35, Leviathan number 5, Wonder Twins. I didn't get to read the DC Villains Giant yet. But there was also Superman number 16, which was a kind of a turn away from just this kind of the normal storyline that we've been going to so far. This was more of a Super Sons episode, if you like, where we get to see Damian meeting the grown-up John Kent for the first time and coming to terms with the fact that he's now older than him and taller than him, and just how that all worked out. Did you happen to read this particular issue yet?
No, I am seriously behind. I have a stack next to the thing that I was trying to get to in the last couple of days, but I couldn't even get my review done on time this week. So I'm just, I guess I'm enjoying myself too much and sleeping in. No, I'm looking forward. It's funny because of how everything kind of went with Event Leviathan.
Mm-hmm.
It really seems to have switched the book that I prefer, because everything leading up to Leviathan in action was great, but then it just seems like Superman was the catalyst to this, and maybe since I haven't gotten to the issues yet, he's more involved than I think. But it seems like with the whole wrap-up to the Rogol Zar storyline and the introduction of the Legion and, a final fate of Jor-El, that Superman really turned out to be the dark horse that kind of pulled out in the lead right there at the end. So I'm looking forward to this issue, because I'm not a big fan of Damian, I'll admit. I don't hate the character like I used to. Man, when he first premiered, I was like, the last time Robin was this obnoxious, we voted to kill him. But I like the way Bendis handles the characters, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the two of them bouncing off of each other and having to come to this new dynamic.
Well, our reviewer, Adam DeChannel, gave it only a 2 out of 5 this issue. I thought it deserved a bit more than that. He called it an infantile comedic issue. I guess it was a bit of a fun kind of change from where things have been going. So I don't necessarily think it was infantile, but it was definitely more fun and probably less serious than what we've had in the title in recent times. And maybe that's a nice change for something different. But I'm a big fan of the relationship of these two characters. I love the Super Sons books, and seeing the way they do bounce off each other is great. And now there's a change up in the dynamic because of John being older and taller and stronger and everything like that. Well, it's quite interesting.
Not only that, I mean, Damian had a messed up upbringing. I mean, he was raised by his mother, who's Talia al Ghul.
Yep.
So his whole background is kind of an abusive, Disneyland anyways. But John being stuck with Ultraman and going through all of that changed him fundamentally. I mean, he didn't lose himself in it, but that's some pretty dark stuff. And I think it kind of evened them out a little bit, because it always seemed like Damian was the older one and John was kind of the goofy kid. I mean, it was a nice dynamic. I'm not mocking it or saying they should have done something different, but this changes everything. So that I'm kind of glad, but I'm kind of glad that it was more lighthearted, because I think, after dealing with, fighting a guy that's responsible for the destruction of Krypton and losing his father a second time, maybe a lighthearted issue is what you need.
Yeah, exactly. So we look ahead to what is available this week, and I'm going to rattle off some of the titles here as we show the covers. We have Superman Year 1, number 3, issue number 3, which is available in a variant cover as well. We also have Justice League number 34, which is also available in a variant cover. We have Jimmy Olsen number 4, which, you guessed it, is also available in a variant cover. And the one that I've been waiting for, Superman Smashes the Klan number 1, which is also available in this variant cover. And, whoops, just knocked over my microphone. As I bring things back to the camera here, I was very happy to receive both covers from Jean Lewin Yang, who sent these to me. I got them yesterday, and I read it as soon as I got it. And he even sent a nice little note saying, appreciate all your support, past and present, Gene, which was really cool of him. And I loved it. I was kind of disappointed that it was part 1 of 3, because I was hoping it was just the whole complete story. Didn't realize it was going to be a 3-part thing, but issue 1, well worth it. It's based off the 1940s radio series, the Clan of the Fiery Cross.
The Clan of the Fiery Cross.
And it also kind of brings in at the beginning a bit of the Atom Man, which is also another episode of the radio series. and well worth checking out. If you haven't done so, pick this up. It's available now.
I'm hoping that this is successful because I would love to see like the Atom Man story adapted into comic book form. You know, and you know, done as a period piece so that you can kind of keep that. So because, you know, it's just it's really in this day and age where you have people arguing over whether something is SJW or not, which is, yeah, because being a social justice, you know, wanting social justice is such a terrible thing. You know, the Superman was doing it in the 1940s. I mean, the character is the champion of the weak and the oppressed. He was knocking down tenement slums and, you know, throwing wife beaters into walls, you know, from its inception. But I just love that this story is now getting a nice, you know, like a big bump. And I'm kind of hoping that it kind of gets them maybe to want to clean up the episodes and release them digitally, legitimately, like they've done in the past with certain serials. Because it's really one of the better ones.
Indeed.
In my opinion.
And people thinking, oh, it's 1940s, it's dated. The message that is in there is still so relevant today, if not more so. And it's really cool. Gene Luen Yang is obviously a Chinese American, so he has a connection because the character in the story is a Chinese boy who Jimmy includes in the baseball team, and that kind of gets things happen from there. So it really follows, but it follows more closely the Chinese family in this story, and we get more of their side of things, and so it's kind of fleshed out a little bit more than it is in the radio series, and I think that brings it more to home. You feel more connected to the characters, and there's even like the whole racism thing is not just between whites and the Chinese here, it's also between the Chinese and blacks, which is kind of an interesting dynamic that you don't get in the radio series, because it just shows that it doesn't matter who you are, prejudice exists in all races.
Yeah, and if you even go back to like the LA riots, there was if I'm remembering the history correctly, there was a lot of tension in the neighborhoods of you know, the Korean families, you know, coming in and opening up businesses or taking over businesses, and there was a lot of tension there. So it wasn't only, you know, the Rodney King beating really kind of set everything off, but the tensions were there already between everybody. So it's one of those things. The radio serial itself, one of my favorite parts of it, and I'm hoping they kind of adapt this into the comics, is that the bad guy is a true believer.
Yeah.
This is a guy that buys into everything, and the Fiery Cross, you know, the KKK stand-in, you know, they're like, no, this is a business. You know, we're here to make money, and you need to chill out with what you're doing because it's bad for us. And it kind of shows, you know, that angle to it as well. It was a really nuanced story.
Yeah.
For being something for what was ostensibly children's entertainment in the 1940s. But man, they went all in, and I cannot recommend that book enough. That goes over the history of the serial as well, because that not only goes into the history of Superman and the radio series, but also the history of the Klan itself. And I learned a lot of things I didn't know before about it. So yeah, this is one of those like Superman books that I'm kind of looking forward to more than the regular books.
No,
Even though
indeed.
I'm still enjoying those.
There's a bit in the back of the book, Superman and Me, Part 1 by Gene Luen Yang, which goes into the history of not only his own history with racism and things that have happened to him, but also some background about the Klan and you know, some historical elements to kind of explaining a bit of a background to the story and to, you know, where things were at the time. So well worth picking up. Superman Smashes the Klan, Part 1, available today or now, tomorrow, wherever you are, via Comixology, Amazon, and your local comic book store. So get to that. Also coming up, we've got a advanced preview of The Legion of Superheroes #1. Again, this is by Brian Michael Bendis. There is the cover there. The adventures of the 31st century begin here. We got a number of pages from this book, which were available to us through DC Comics. Obviously, John Kent joining the Legion is a massive part of the book, and you can check out a number of pages at our website. Welcome to the 31st century, inspired by the acts of and lessons learned from the greatest heroes of all time. The Legion of Superheroes have gathered together to stop a galaxy from repeating its past mistakes. The greatest lineup of heroes in comic book history returns with fresh, new, and reader-friendly stories.
I wonder if that means that it's just, since it's a new version of the Legion, you don't have to be steeped into the lore of the Legion to really get caught up. And, you know, it's just, all you need to know about John is he's the son of Superman. That's it. That's all you really need to know.
That's it. Yeah, you can start reading the stories from there without needing to know much more, I hope. So this will be available November 6th, the first issue of this new series. So written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Ryan Sook. So November 6th for that particular comic book. We also got an advanced pages, I should say, of the Tales of the Dark Multiverse, Blackest Night. And I'm just going to bring up those pages right now. We got a number of, I think, 4 or 5 pages from that particular comic book, which it's the familiar story, but it retells the tale of the Green Lantern event that changed the DC Universe forever, only this time the Black Lanterns emerged triumphant. 23 days after the cataclysm, Sinestro, trapped between life and death as a white and black lantern, emerges as the world's last hope, the Limbo Lantern, against the threat of not only a horde of Black Lantern-infected New Gods, but Darkseid himself, also infested with Black Lantern's evil power.
Oh my god, how can you make this story darker? I mean, seriously. The zombie firestorm turned Jason Rush's girlfriend into salt. I mean, it's just like, what the... good lord. Okay, I'm not going to go into this. I mean, it's just like... this didn't need a dark version of it. It was dark enough on its own, I guess is my point.
Yeah, well, fair enough. This one will be available November 13th, I think it is. So that will be, I think, the week after the one I just showed previously. So November 13th for that particular comic book with art by Kyle Hotz. So, and written by Tim Seeley. Tales from the Multiverse, Dark Multiverse, Blackest Night #1, available November 13th. So check that out if you're interested. These Dark Multiverse tales seem to be the kind of the new Elseworlds, if you like.
Yeah, it's Elseworlds for people that don't like fun. Nah, that's harsh. That's harsh. It just seems like, you know, we're in the cycle again, and if rumors are true, we might be getting a whole new DC universe that they'll forget about a year into it anyways when sales go down. So
just tell good stories.
Yeah, just that's all you need to do, really. I mean, there's like, again, it's not like the New 52 where if this, you know, Superman versus the Klan book had come out then, I would have been like, I like this better than what's going on in the books because I disliked the book so more often than not. But it just seems like they're really pushing this dark multiverse thing. I'm not, you know, I didn't even read the Batman Superman book yet because I didn't read the dark metal stuff or the DC metal. So it's just like it has no interest for me, and since I'm not as anal retentive, which is hyphenated, I'd like to point out, as I used to be with this kind of stuff, I don't feel the need to read it. We definitely got people at the site reviewing it, so it's not like the Superman homepage itself is ignoring it. It's just I am. Yeah,
no, fair enough. You can't go for everything, not necessary, but yeah. We'll have to wait and see where these comic book people take us. In the meantime, we'll just enjoy the stories that they're publishing at the moment and not worry too much about what might or might not happen. So from the comic book side of things, we look at merchandise, and Prime One Studio are now taking pre-orders for their premium Masterline Injustice 2 Brainiac statue. It's obviously based on the comic book, the video game released by NetherRealm Studios. It's a statue that stands approximately, 30 inches tall, and it has a crafted base that is inspired by Brainiac's ship and the warship, and the base also lights up, has a LED light up function. There's an exclusive version which has different alternate portraits for different facial expressions. I'll just cycle through some of the images there. Not necessarily right in my price range. The standard version goes for $999 US. I can see Michael in the background just kind of rolling his eyes. The exclusive version with alternate portrait facial expressions is $50 more expensive.
This thing is the size of a small child.
Or Martian Manhunter's brother.
Or Martian Manhunter's brother. I mean, it's a cool looking thing, and Brainiac was a big part of Injustice 2, so you can't really, it's on point. It's just, again, who are the fans out there that got $1,000 to just drop on a statue? And not only a statue, a series of statues, because this isn't the first one that Prime Studios has put out. But I'm not saying it's not attractive. The light up feature is kind of cool. The different faces are very well sculpted. As I'm watching them kind of roll across the screen, but
Mike Zumo says it costs both kidneys and a lung.
Yeah, I was about to say, good Lord. I mean, I don't want to sell blood plasma just to get to this thing. So,
well, if you can afford it, good luck to you, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. But that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. Before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live. And once again, thanks to all those who commented on the YouTube live video. And to you, my co-host, thank you, Michael Bailey.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meachin, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. We appreciate your support. And remember, if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, you can head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, and you can sponsor the site for as little as $1. Now, the complete 1 hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our YouTube channel. If maybe you missed part of the show or tuned in late, you'll be able to watch the whole thing via those locations. We'll be back next week on Tuesday, October 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding this Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.